So Anton Schiffer just signed with Visma. The guy's really, really good at posting all his power data and some kind of sports science takes on Strava. So he's now actually getting coached by Visma. He's left his power data up, so let's get into the Visma hype train. So first of all, it's kind of disappointing because he didn't do Guangxi. That was the plan. So there's only like 3 weeks of training, but it's interesting to see how Visma approach training. We obviously have quite a lot of data about UAE, but Visma's somewhat different, and I'd say the approach is not as different as maybe people made out, but it's not definitely not the same. So anyway, this is the 3 week block. He does Europeans on the Sunday, and he also does a race which is Tour of Mirabel, which is a 1-day UCI race on Friday. So like not full training, but we'll go through some heat block stuff and also some intervals. So this was the first day of the training plan, and they did sprints. You'll see that they really like him doing sprints, and I think as people maybe who are climbers, maybe not as good at sprints, it's actually quite important to get better at it and also just be able to tolerate the sprints as you do a lot in a race. So his first session actually wasn't that hard. I thought it was some intervals here, some VO2 work. So the warm-up, 340, 360, 2-minute rest, nothing crazy. His threshold's around 360, it said on Strava. It could be a little bit higher, but I think it's probably about that. Then he does some 40-20s, which he himself said are pointless, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So he does like eight blocks of 40-20s, then he does 2 minutes really hard, 1 minute off, 2 minutes really hard, and then he does some 1 minute on, 30 seconds off. These are actually quite popular intervals. It seems to be done a lot, and then some churning around at like LT1 at the end of it for 3 times 10. So he did that session, then he told his coach it's too easy. And this actually says, why are you doing 40-20s? And he says, if you said that they're pointless, and then he says the intervals are all seated and higher power than what I would have tested last winter, and also it's to do with muscular adaptations. So it's interesting they make them do them seated. I kind of heard this before. It does make sense to me because I think out the saddle you just don't actually get as much of a VO2 stimulus. So anyway, again, it was like 40-20s, did 8 sets here, then he did some 30-15s, and then he did some 30-30s. Now, what's actually the difference in terms of the power? Maybe not as much as you think. They're pretty similar, the 30-30s and 40-20s. Maybe the 30-15s, they're a little bit harder, but it's not actually that different. And then the 30-30s, he actually rides pretty hard in between, like 250, 500 watts. So it's not full tapper. Towards the end, it obviously is when he gets tired. Here it's like 130 watts. So it does get easier. And then he does 4 times 15 at like 280, which I think would be his LT1. I don't actually know, but that was my theory. And then he does these sprints at the end, which he does a lot. 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off times 5 normally. I think it's just a good way of simulating at the end of a race where you've got to do big anaerobic capacity efforts, minimal rest. Obviously the heart rate response here is pretty decent, but most of it is obviously you're getting more for the muscular stress. But yeah, these 280 watters, I mean, how tiring are they? Pretty tiring. I mean, his heart rate's 170 here, so they're definitely not, if you got a lactate meter out, probably wouldn't be like 1.3 millimole. It would probably be significantly higher. And again, you can see at the beginning though, this wasn't as bad. This was only 160 heart rate, so he's definitely fatiguing into the efforts quite a lot actually. And I guess also the power went up from here, which was power's the same, so probably just a bit tired. So interesting to see that they do like a pretty big VO2 block. So that was on Friday, so you can see the VO2 here, did some LT1 stuff here. Rest day he does heat, which is very interesting. Then he does the VO2, then he does the standard 3-day block, VO2, LT1, mince. So let's go have a look at the mince ride. How easy do they ride on the mincing? I thought pretty easy actually. Heart rate 120, so that's more like Norwegian style than UAE death chop. So yeah, just different way of doing it. Obviously the day before he'd done 4 times 15 at 260 watts, which is a bit more of a LT1 stimulus. Again, he does a very, very similar workout on Tuesday as he did to Friday. There's no real need to go into it again. It's basically the same workout. Then he does a recovery spin, pre-race ride. I think it'd be good to look at the pre-race ride actually, and then we'll go into the heat afterwards. So this is the Visma pre-race ride. 4 minutes at 90% would be my prediction. Then 4 minutes, maybe 105%. And then he does 5 sets of 40-20s here. Pretty hard actually, 400 average. Actually more when you think about it. Yeah, he does like 500 watts for the ons. So yeah, like interesting pre-race ride. No sprints, I don't think. So interesting. But yeah, that's a pre-race Visma ride. Right, so we done most of it. I don't think there's anything too crazy. The workouts are like pretty standard. I'd say the only thing is just the combination of intervals. You know, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, 30-15s. But anyway, let's go into the heat. Heat is a rest day. I've never seen this before. Kind of makes sense. I'm not a massive fan, I think, in some ways, because I think the heat is a lot of stress. Obviously, if you're good, then maybe you can tolerate it. He did take a picture of his heat setup. But anyway, the Visma setup is start not that hard and slowly ramp down. Heart rate, they want it to go up. And this wasn't the hardest one, so this is 140 beats per minute average. I don't know if I actually linked when he did heat on these training days. I don't think I did. Oh, maybe I did here. But yeah, this actually doesn't look that hard in terms of heat. Like average heart rate 140, it's not crazy. But I think it's interesting how the power kind of comes down. You can see the first 20 minutes was 215. He said he was using the core body sensor. But yeah, like here was one, I think, after Europeans where he really emptied the tank a bit more, and you can see he reached like 177 heart rate, which is actually seriously high. And yeah, just interesting way to do it. But yeah, like that's the heat prep they do, pretty standard. And then yeah, just the endurance, like we said, pretty simple. Last week, again, what's he doing? More sprints, bit of LT1 work here. Nothing too crazy. And then again, like some kind of intervals with sprints. I don't know. Just get the legs going again. He has Europeans. But this is the actual hard day, the Thursday. And again, it's the same 40, 20s, 30, 15s, 2 times 15, 290. And then the 10, 20-second micro sprints at the end. So yeah, interesting. And then the last week of training, he did a 5-minute test here, which actually I didn't link because I'm a melon. That was dumb. 5-minute test, 500 watts for 5 minutes. So this was interesting. We can actually find that pretty quickly. Yeah, so he said like when he wasn't going to do Guangxi that he would do some testing, and that he was going to, I guess I thought maybe there'd be a 20-minute test, but there wasn't. I'm pretty sure it's this day. Was it 9th of October? Nope. Sorry. So unprofessional not having this linked. Can't believe it. Shake my head. But yeah, he did 500, which actually is quite a lot because he was 62 kilos. I think that's almost his best ever. I know he did 440 for 10. I can't remember what his 5-minute test was. But yeah, you can see like 1800 VAM on, and it was like a lot of it not very steep at all. Like on the steeper parts here, he was very absolutely charging 10%, 2000 VAM, 500 watts. So yeah, pretty impressive. Beforehand, it wasn't the easiest. Like he did a warm-up obviously here, and then he did some 40-20s, which again I was like, oh, maybe these are easy. They averaged 400 watts, so not massively. It was kind of like still pretty difficult. And then yeah, 5 minutes flat out, 2 minutes looked like basically flat out as well, 570 watts, and then some LT1 stuff at the end. I don't know if it's LT1 as much here. It's just churning zone 3. Whether it's LT1, whether it's 260, 290 is LT1, I don't really know. But anyway, cheers for watching. Hope you did enjoy this video about what Vizma get up to. I don't think it's actually that radical. A lot of VO2. The VO2 stuff seems hard. Otherwise, it's like mince and a bit of LT1, so it's pretty easy. I think you can get most of those sessions dialed down into shorter sessions if you only had an hour or two to do the VO2 work. And probably bin off the 2 times 15, 290 watts. And then yeah, the rest of it's pretty standard stuff. So anyway, cheers for watching. Hope you did enjoy it. I'll see you in the next one.